Hello YouTube, thanks for tuning in. There's panic in the crypto space this Christmas Eve. There's talk of crashes and bubbles popping. I've fielded a lot of phone calls and emails in the last week. Dump it all. Bitcoin's crashing. Bitcoin's at 11.5. What do I do? It is? Well, let me get on Coinbase as fast as I can so I can buy as much as I possibly can. Unfortunately, Coinbase was not cooperating at the time, so I had to go old school to make my purchase, but got the job done. I know a lot of my subscribers are new to Bitcoin, and this is why I'm making this video, because I know that the fear you are experiencing is real. I know because I've been there. But I'm here to tell you, this is no big deal. I have lived through this at least 5 times. So it's no big deal. Unless you have made it a big deal. If you have taken your life savings and put it into Bitcoin at 19,000 with hopes of flipping it at 25 before Christmas, I'm sorry. But that ship has sailed. So the question now is, what do you do at this point? Do you buy more? Do you sell and cut your losses? Or do you hold and ride it out? There's certainly a lot of personalities out there giving their opinion on the topic. Not just YouTube, but I'm talking about the major media outlets, anywhere from Yahoo News to CNBC. There is some so-called expert giving their 2 cents about Bitcoin, about how, this is it. This is it. This is the end of Bitcoin. The bubble has popped. Told you so. When I see things like that, I'm reminded of the fall of 1999, Y2K. Who remembers that? Show of hands. I remember watching a show on television, some news show where an interviewer has a panel of guests, and one of these guests was some MIT computer whiz kid who was sitting alongside of a master mechanic. And during this interview, the computer guy goes on to say that any car that is operated with, that has a computer in it, is going to be inoperable after midnight. And goes on to state that if you're on the road after midnight, to be sure to get to wherever it is that you're going prior to turning the car off. Because if you turn your car off after midnight, you're not going to be able to start it up again. If you're in an older car with a carbureted engine, you'll be fine. But if you're in a newer car, you're going to be stuck. And then the master mechanic follows up with the how and the why that is going to take place. And I remember sitting in front of that TV saying, these two guys are idiots. There is no way in the world that they could possibly believe that that's going to happen. But they were hard at work, man. They are hard at work, working on a solution that is going to be accessible and affordable for all. And boy, did everybody eat that up. Grocery store shelves were cleared. Gas stations were out of gas. People looting and fighting in the streets. It was a mess. But we all remember what happened New Year's Day, year 2000. Nothing. Just not a damn thing. Just another day in paradise. So when I see these guys on TV, they may very well be masters of their universe. But what I think a lot of them fail to realize is that Bitcoin is a completely different universe. They like to compare it, because it's a digital asset, to what it is they've been accustomed to throughout their careers, and you just can't do that because Bitcoin is a completely different animal. It's like saying you know how to raise a wolf because you once had a Cocker Spaniel. Good luck with that. Now, they are correct in that we have never seen a dollar amount correction like this, but that's just because Bitcoin's never been this high. This is nothing more than a 40% correction, folks. A 40% correction that Bitcoin has seen many times prior. I put together this very sophomoric chart illustrating the major corrections that Bitcoin has seen since its inception. And these are all round numbers, and I know a lot of you are going to try to fact check this, and depending on what source you use, the figures may vary slightly, but you'll get the point. Bitcoin saw its first all-time high in June of 2011 at $29, which was followed by an immediate 50% correction down to $14. The bears came out, it went to sleep for a while. That is until April of 2013, where it saw an all-time high of $230, followed by a 70% correction in the market down to $70. Then 8 months later, saw another all-time high of $1,150. That was followed by an immediate 40% correction down to about $700 or so. It saw a little bit of a rebound, but then it dropped right back down to about $520 or so, making it at the end of the day about a 50% correction in the market. Then the bears came out, went to sleep once again. That is until June of 2017, where we saw another all-time high of $3,000, followed by a 40% market correction down to $1,900. Then in September of 2017, we saw an all-time high of $5,000, followed once again by a 40% correction in the market, which took us to $7,500 in November of 2017, followed by a not so significant 25% correction, which took us to the all-time high of $19,000 and some change this month, December 2017, followed by yet another 40% correction, which is where we are currently sitting now. This is what Bitcoin does. Now, don't confuse crash and bubble popping to market correction. Corrections in the market are necessary for the sustainability of an asset. Think of it as you wanting to, well, this is probably a bad analogy for me to use, but say you want to grow your hair out really long, right? Once it reaches a certain length, you're going to start to get split ends and things like that, so you need to trim it back a little bit, and then once you've done that, then it will grow fuller and more lustrous. I was first introduced to Bitcoin in the fall of 2012. No, I'm sorry, that was the spring of 2012. I was a sales manager at a car dealership, and salesman comes up to me with a credit application from his customer. I look at it and it says that he's self-employed. And I said, okay, this isn't going to work. I need to know what kind of business it is, whether it's an LLC, a corporation, how long he's had it, and all that. So the salesman looks at me, he says, I think that you might want to talk to him about that. So I said, okay. So I go behind the desk and I talk to the customer. I said, so I understand you're self-employed. What type of business do you have? And he looks at me and he says, I am developing my own currency. I looked at him like he had two heads. I said, say that one more time. He says, oh yeah, it's going to be great. It's just like dollars, but it's better. And he starts talking about Bitcoin and how it's just like this, like Bitcoin is, and it can do that just like Bitcoin. And I'm saying to myself, what the hell is Bitcoin? And he's going on, and I said, all right, pal, get your shine box and hit the bricks. There's no way that I'm lending you any money to buy anything. You psycho. So the other management staff and I got a laugh out of that, and One of the salesmen says, "Oh, Bitcoin, yeah, I know what that is." I said, "Do you now?" I said, "Okay, well, enlighten me." This is the explanation that I was given as to what Bitcoin is. It is a digital currency that can only be used online. Okay. So I said, why would anyone want or need that? So he tells me it is for those who are sketchy about putting their personal information online. You want to make a purchase, you can keep your debit card in your wallet, you use Bitcoin instead. And it's untraceable and anonymous and all of that. So I said, okay, that's interesting. So I said, why not? And I bought 50 of them. And then I forgot about it. Until this time right here. About a year later. And this is the first time that I had ever heard Bitcoin mentioned in the media, along with the term bubble. Now, coming from a previous bubble in 2008, there's certain terms that make me very nervous when it comes to money. And now keep in mind that a year prior, when I bought these Bitcoin, I had no idea that it fluctuated in value or even was supposed to fluctuate in value. I thought it was like buying a gift card. So when I see that Bitcoin, a single Bitcoin at that point was worth $200, I said, well, let me get rid of this as fast as I possibly can. And I did. And boy, was I proud of myself of what I had turned my $50 investment into. And then I go on about my business. Next thing I know, Bitcoin's in the media again. This time it's worth $500 and $600 and going up. I said to myself, how is this possible? Then I started doing my own research. Not taking a salesman's word for it, not listening to some chucklehead with a mic attached to his collar sitting in front of a television camera. I'm doing my own research on what Bitcoin is, how it came about, what it stood for, and what the hell blockchain technology is. And then I said to myself, this can change everything. And then I went into the bathroom and I threw up for an hour, realizing how much money I had given away. But then I started to accumulate as much as I could, as fast as I could. And then December of 2013 rolls around, and Bitcoin is in the news once again. But this time, this is the real bubble. Not this one. This one, we didn't know what we were talking about back then. This one here at $1,150, that's the real bubble. Better get out now while you can. No, I'm good. You got me back here. You think I'm falling for that again? No, sir. Give me more. So I have bought and held, bought and held, bought and held, bought and will continue to hold. So to answer your question, what do you do? Buy, sell, or hold? You need to do whatever is going to help you sleep at night. Because not everybody has the stomach for this game. For me, Bitcoin is a long-term hold. I'm concerned about where Bitcoin is going to be 10 years from now. The peaks and the valleys along the way are of no consequence. I dedicate 20% of my Bitcoin portfolio to investing. Swing trading, ICOs, lending platforms, and all of that. The rest sits aside. I add to it, depending on what type of month I had, but other than that, it doesn't get touched. So when it comes to that 20% of my portfolio, this is what I do. I analyze charts. And when you study an asset's chart long enough, you start to see patterns. And when you can identify those patterns, a lot of times you can successfully predict the behavior of that asset. So what do I see when I see this? I see a Christmas Eve fire sale. 20 to 40% off all your favorite tokens. I'm going shopping. Next stop, $27,500. before the next correction is due. Thanks for watching.